I've been asked by lots of people at book signings especially if I have an audiobook, and I do, and I'll put a link to the audiobook on the screen here. But then the next question is, well, did you read it? And I went, well, no, dyslexic people don't read books. I might write them, but I don't read them. And they said, oh, that's too bad. I like to hear it in the author's voice. But other people are legitimately want to know more about the book and hear it from me. So I thought, well, I could do YouTube videos and just kind of talk about the book. So that's what I'm going to try and do, and that's what I'm going to do, and we'll see how that works, and we'll see what the interest level is. And maybe we'll get a few chapters in and there's no interest, and then I'm not going to waste my time anymore. We'll go on to something else, right? So in this first episode, in this first installment, I just kind of want to talk about the cover and the introduction. I'll put the book up here so you can see the cover while I'm talking about it, but I've got it here in front of me. And so it's Live One Life, a guide to recovery from trauma, drama, and other addictive behaviors by Dr. David W. Patterson. A couple of things about the cover. I didn't get the type as big as I wanted, but that's okay. No, the other thing I want to say about that first statement, well, live one life, and we'll talk about that later in the book, but I had a woman at a book signing come up, and she picked up the book, looked at it, and read A Guide to Recovery from Trauma, Drama, and that's as far as she got. You could see her chin starting to go a little bit, and then she broke down and cried for a little bit. And then I said, do you want to step aside and we'll talk? And she went, yep. And so that's what we did. And she told me about an abusive situation that she was in. And so it gets real personal real fast in this world. Because people are just kind of skimming across the surface of life, if that makes sense. And then when they stop in the bookstore and read something, recovery from trauma, drama, and other addictive behaviors, they feel a need to change or to work on something. And so I appreciate all the input of my friends for the colors and all the rest on the front cover. Appreciate that. So let's take a look. Let's go inside and have a look. The title page is Live One Life, a Guide to Recovery from Trauma, Drama, and Other Addictive Behaviors. The thing that I want to point out is that it's also in what's called dyslexic font. And I'll put a link in the video about dyslexia. And there's kind of a cool story about that. Christian Boer, you can see his TED Talk on dyslexia. And I reached out to him because I wanted the book to be available in dyslexia, or actually I just wanted it printed in dyslexic font. I watched his TED Talks. He's got a couple of them. And so I reached out to him and asked him if I could do that. And he said, sure, it's no problem. And he laid out the financials for me, and I couldn't afford that. And so I said, well, I'll see if I can get a sponsor to help with the cost of it. And so he went, and that's where I left it. I just emailed him back. He's in Amsterdam. And a couple of weeks went by, and he reached out to me again, and he said that he had taken my book. I had sent him a PDF, and he sent the PDF over to some of his professors or professors at the University of Amsterdam, and they looked at it, and they had not made the connection, which I was quite surprised. They hadn't made the connection that dyslexia would cause anxiety that then could cause some kind of coping mechanism or drug abuse or addiction. They hadn't made that connection. And so they were very excited about that concept, and I don't know what they're doing with it now, but the upshot of the whole thing was Christian sent an email back to me and described that situation, and then said, and on that, and on the merit of the book, that it can be published in dyslexic font for the life of the book for free. So that was pretty cool. So that's the little story of dyslexia, and like I say, I'll put a link in the video. All right. I don't know exactly how this is going to work. The chapter headings are great talking points when you're working on a problem, or when you want to change something, your business, your marriage, or whatever. But just the chapter titles. First of all, you have the problem, right? Followed up by if nothing changes, which is that old line from Recovery, if nothing changes, nothing changes. So you have the problem, then you realize that something has to change. And then the next chapter is my life has become unmanageable, which is the first, the first step is understanding or coming to terms with that. But the problem could be in your business, right? It's become unmanageable, or one of your kids has become unmanageable, or the car's broke down and that's become unmanageable. So the problem, and now something has to change, and you have to realize that. And then you assemble the team, and then there's the doodle to compass, and then you start to really get into it in chapter 6 with the mind quadrant, followed by the spirit quadrant, faces of emotion, and a body in motion. And so, and then chapter 10 is a recap of everything that's in the book, or all the main points and the main big changes in the book, or things that you can change. And that's called Here Be Dragons, and we'll talk about that when we get to chapter 10. So let's, and I'm not going to read you all the acknowledgments as nice as they are, but I did want to talk about Susan, my wife, a little bit. She's my eternal best friend. This is, I'll just read this because I'll probably get teary if I go and start talking about it. And yeah, I'm the dyslexic guy reading a book. Susan Patterson is my eternal best friend, and I wish to express my gratitude for her boundless patience with me day to day on this project. Without her love and a keen eye of detail and countless hours of editing, there would be no book. And that's editing of the book, yes, and editing of my life, and editing of my character, and editing, just helping all these years. When we did this book, at that time that's right now, actually, I'm being cute for the video, but we've been married 41 years, and she's a great editor, and she is my strength and my best friend. All right, so I'm not going to read all the rest of the testimonials and all that stuff. That's for you to do. But I do want to talk about the introduction a little bit. And so this is kind of the format that I want to go. So I'll read it and comment on it as I go through the book, because if I just sit and read it, you'll go nuts, and then you'll see how terrible a reader I really am. But so let's just get into it. I have learned that we're all recovering from something. You might ask, recovering from what? I'm not addicted to anything. And that's where I say, really? Have you ever done something and then realized that it didn't serve you well, only to do it again and again, and miss the mark and do it again and again? Addictions can include, and then I list out a whole bunch of things here that are addictions. I think what's important on this first page, though, is to come to understand that we all have that little sin, or that you can call it a sin, and I talk about, a sin is just missing the mark. But we all have something that we're not ready to put down yet. They're not helpful, but yet we're not ready to put them down. And so, for example, go back to the book. tobacco, alcohol, coffee, tea, drugs, both prescription and illegal. And then I included behaviors because science and the academics are coming to terms with the understanding that behaviors are addictive. And the example I used in a workshop one time was, and these are thought out behaviors. If a guy wants to go fishing on Saturday and he and his wife don't fish and his wife doesn't want him to go, there's a good chance he could get in a fight with his wife Friday night and then storm off and go fishing, and he's accomplished his goal, right? So there's a little behavior that he has manufactured so that he gets to go fishing, and it's not productive. Well, it is productive that he gets to go fishing, but it's not productive on his marriage. Okay, so I made a deal with myself that I would not start teaching or preaching the recovery arts. I love that, recovery arts. Until I was clean for 10 years from my own issues and addictions. I now feel, so this is a few years ago, I now feel that I can help others by sharing my story in this book. And you can go to liveonelifecoach.com and we can work together. But I hope that you will discover something within this book that will help you find confidence, peace, and comfort as you recover your life. So whatever that is. And that really is one of my goals. The other thing, I have to come clean. I wrote this book for myself. I'm kind of a selfish character, and most addicts are. But I wrote this for myself so I'd have a little handbook. That's why I wanted it in dyslexic font so bad, because it's more helpful to me. And I wanted a place where all the things that had worked in my life were compiled. I could find them all in one place. And for the most part, I've accomplished that. The other thing that I'm most proud about in this book is that you can pick this book up and on any page find something of value, something that will be helpful, something that you can change, something that you can improve upon. I'm very proud of that fact because I've tried it and you really can. And I've challenged my clients to do it and they can. And they've reported back that, yep, they can go and open it up, any page, and grasp a concept or find something that'll make the day better. Let's just jump over the page. So if you need a book to follow along, I'll put a link for that too on Amazon, and you can pick it up in Kindle or paperback. But that way you can follow along if you want to, or get ahead or fall behind or whatever you want to do. I may or may not discuss the footnotes, but the big list that came on this page of addictive behaviors and addictive substances, it's not a big list, but it's a pretty good size one, came from LDS Family Services. The book that they use, their ARP book it's called. So let's go one page over and, okay, possibly you've been abused. Oh, now I'm talking about things that might have happened to you that this book can help with. Possibly you've been abused or you struggle with health or mental issues. Maybe you're homeless. I really did mean that, you know, I was thinking about that today again. Maybe you're homeless. If you had a pencil and you could read and you had this book, you could turn your life around a little bit and you could get it pointed in the right direction. I know that's true because I have been homeless and I've been on the street by choice, as ridiculous as that sounds, because I didn't want to put up with anybody, so I just stayed away. But you really could, with a pencil in this book, really make a difference in your life. It's a big statement, I know, but I know it's true too. The list of life challenges goes on and on. Nevertheless, the steps for change for all of these conditions are the same. And that's why I read you the chapter headings, because the steps to change are all the same. I wish I could say that these things that I'm sharing in this book came to me in a simple, systematic way. That would have made this book way easy to write. No, the information you will receive had to be lived first. This is my personal chain of events, issues, and relapses. It has been hammered out link by link and yard by yard. That's a quote from A Christmas Carol, where old Scrooge is talking to Marley right at the beginning, and he asks him, "What's this big chain?" And Marley says it was the chain that he forged in life, and that's how I feel that this book came about. It was forged by my own life and those around me that helped. It's true that there needs to be order, and that order will be determined by you. Don't we all want organization in our life? There's an eternal principle at play here. That is, that you are exactly where you need to be to get started. And I go on. I challenge you to assimilate what you can from these pages and test them in your own hero's journey. See how my dyslexia goes? I go along and then I lose where I am, and so then I just jump on and start talking to you. So sorry, but you've got the book, you can figure it out. Then there's this little poem that I put in here. I don't want to walk in front of you. I may be tempted to pull you. I don't want to walk behind you. I may be tempted to push you. I just want to walk beside you and be your friend. And that is true. I do want to walk along beside you, and I do so through this book. That's the best I can do, and maybe this video on YouTube. And but I leave it there. That's the introduction. Next time we'll start with Chapter 1, The Problem. Hey, thanks for hanging in. We'll see how this does, and if there's more interest, well, I'll continue and comment on my own book, but only because people have been asking. So thanks for your time. We'll talk to you next time. Bye now.